Welcome back to the Rock Talk Show. I'm with our special guest, Gerry Duffy. Gerry, we're talking now about your time when you came from the old world back in the 70s to North America, and you ended up in Vegas, was one of the places you stopped off at. But you came to California because of a job opportunity.
So what happened was we went to Vegas for a week from Vancouver with my friend Tony Rivers. We drove all the way, but we had a bit of a mistake because we're just two English guys driving in North America, and we ended up in a place in Los Angeles, totally by mistake, called the Watts District.
Oh boy.
Which was pretty scary.
Well, tell us about that.
So what happened was we were supposed to turn off to head north to Bakersfield because we were going to 9320 Yolanda Avenue, Northridge, which is where Spencer Davis lives. I shouldn't have said that, but anyway, who cares? But we ended up in the Watts District. But fortunately, we managed to get out safely. But that was pretty scary.
Pretty scary in what ways? Just a neighborhood you don't want to be in at a certain time of day?
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, back in the '66, there was quite the race riots in, you know, in the States, and apparently there's still some leftover
tensions. But while you're touring in North America, we'll try to get you to the point where you got finally settled in Winnipeg. You're touring around North America.
Wow.
Let's talk about some of the stories of playing at clubs in that time. This is the '70s.
Yeah.
And what kind of music were you primarily pitching?
In the '70s?
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but we were in a disco band.
Well, you know, we might have some pictures of, this. Here we are here. And tell us about this then. That's disco. I'm pretty sure that's looking disco to me.
That's my wife Cheryl.
Yeah.
That's me. Well, maybe you can't tell, but it is. So Philip.
I really like the mustache you're rocking there. Was that's the fashion at the time? That was, you go with it. Disco, you're playing.
Yeah, we're just
playing clubs.
Just trying a different look. You know, this chap Jeff was from Newcastle, England. We had trouble getting people when we were on tour to stay with us for any length of time. So I got him from the Melody Maker.
So, like, was there a time where you were playing in the disco and you end up in a location that might have not worked out? Is there a story there?
There is.
Yeah, tell us about that.
We were booked out of our agent, believe it or not. One of our agents his name was Tom Jones, and he was out of Rossland, BC. I don't know if you know that area. It's on the Columbia River down. It's a beautiful place. Anyway, he misadvertently booked us into a biker bar in Kelowna.
Kelowna biker bar.
Yeah.
Disco. This is not,
not
sounding good.
It was fairly scary, but they one guy said, "You guys are good," you know, and he was a big hurly guy, like something out of Orange County Bikes or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we did the week and it went okay, but it was slightly different, you know. But these things happened, you know. We were every now and then we'd be double booked or something like that, but mostly that was in Vancouver.
All right. Well, tell us about this picture here. We got this looking like maybe the '80s. Or
yeah, that was actually in the '90s. We were
'90s.
A Latin band called Los Amigos. I was
band.
playing in a Latin band, and this gentleman here, Angelo Herrera, is from Chile. That's Ed Droniak's from Winnipeg. That was Eli. He's quite a well-known sax player here, and he's in a Jewish band here in Winnipeg. And that's Greg, me, and the Missus again.
The Missus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay.
So disco to Latin to rock and roll. It's
rock and roll. You've done it all, and clearly you've paid your dues playing around North America, around the world.
Well, yeah, I played a fair bit in Europe.
Europe, of course. And you've been back to the old world, back to England.
I have.
Over time, your family's still there.
Yeah, now I just go back for funerals, but you know, it's just the way it is, you know. You live, you die, right?
So we're going to get into talking about how you came to Winnipeg, of all places.
Yeah, okay. I might have to revert to a picture there.
Okay. Well, we have a few pictures here.
Okay.
We're going to save this. We have a special one we're going to save for later.
All right, a special one for later.
But was it because of love?
Basically, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well, this might help people at home.
Yeah.
Tell us about that picture.
That's my wife and I, well, she taught music at Yamaha for a number of years and was a keyboard player. So we went out as a duo, just two of us, to all over northern BC and Alberta, and we were called the Duffys.
The Duffys.
Just pretty simple. And we did that for a couple of years until my wife became pregnant and we had our first child, and it was just too hard to travel.
Yeah.
Trying to get babysitters and people on the road was just a bit risky. So
of course,
I came back to Winnipeg, but I met my wife when I was playing in Winnipeg in '78 at a club called the Iron Duke, which was at the Marlborough Hotel.
Here in Winnipeg.
Here in Winnipeg, and we were in a disco band called, an all-Filipino band called Southeast Movement, and that was purely like a disco band, but they were very good. Good harmonies and did some great songs.
So this is the disco era.
We're talking, doing the Bee Gees. It's funny how
it all works out.
It did like a big circle,
Yeah.
There I was in '69 working with them, and in '79 playing all the songs from Saturday Night Fever. It's just really weird how that happened.
Well, you know what? I hate to embarrass you, but I gotta know about this picture here. Let's go to cam 1 to check this out.
I was a white funk dude back in the day. Sorry about the shoes.
That is fabulous. I gotta say. That's
like the disco picture,
We'll dwell on that one for too long, okay? But Winnipeg, so Winnipeg's your home now.
It is now, yeah.
And you've got how many kids?
I have 3 daughters.
3 daughters.
Alison, my oldest, Megan, and my youngest, Denisha, who's in Toronto. She lives and works in Toronto.
Okay.
But 2 oldest ones are here.
Yeah, and you still play?
I still play occasionally.
Yeah.
I like to keep my hand in and do the odd gig. I just played before Christmas doing a wedding.
Yeah.
So
a wedding singer.
I was a wedding singer.
Yeah.
And playing, and that was pretty good.
That's great. Well, before we wrap up the show, we're gonna definitely have to talk about someone you met back in England.
Oh yeah, okay.
You were on a job.
I was on this was back in IBC Studios. We were doing. We were hired to do a mobile recording at the Wigmore Hall in the West End of London for a duo called Armory Kane and Tim Hollier. So me and chief engineer, or the engineer I was working with, John Pantry, who, by the way, did a lot of work with the Bee Gees, was the main engineer. Anyway, I was working with him that day, and we utilized, we rented the Rolling Stones 16-channel mobile unit. So my job was to run all the cables for the unit to the stage, and that's what I was doing. So anyway, as I was doing that, there was one area where I had to go through from the street to get to the stage. I had to go through this men's washroom in the window, down and out the door and up onto the stage. Anyway, while I was doing that, there was a gentleman in the washroom getting changed into some costume, I guess you could call it. Anyway, it went on. I'm trying to run cables, and he kept was in my way, And it came to a point where I said, "Look, excuse me, I'm trying to set the stage up, and you're kind of in the way, So he goes, "Oh, no problem." This tall, sort of lanky guy, skinny.
Lanky guy, yeah.
Anyway, we got everything set up, and it worked out okay. And an engineer at the end of the venue and set up said, "You know who that was you were talking to in the washroom?" I said, "No." He said, "That was David Bowie." He said, "You were giving heck to." I said, "I didn't know, I said, "Well, this was just at the beginning of his, career." But everything was okay. It was fine,
So, David Bowie, what are some of the acts or artists that you really enjoy now, or?
Oh, God, back then I worked with a band called Amen Corner, whose leader and rhythm guitarist was a chap called Andy Fairweather Lowe. And I remember doing a song called Hello Susie. And it's funny recently now, because when Eric Clapton goes on tour, Andy Fairweather Lowe is his second guitarist.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until I saw Eric Clapton
recently
when he was in Winnipeg a couple of years ago.
So you get to a lot of the shows, and what do you think of the music scene, right? Music business, or in general?
Well, it's totally different now.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
totally social media,
yeah,
the digital age.
It's completely changed, growing up with analog and
Yeah.
doing musical edits like I did.
So everybody
You
thinks
know.
they got a studio at home
Yeah.
because they got a personal computer and they can be
Yeah.
a rock star. But you came from the old school
I came from the old school, yeah.
and analog, vinyl, but you still appreciate all those things. Like
Oh, I do, yeah. One instance when I was at the studio in IBC, when I was working with The Who, Pete Townsend had a side project, like a lot of the bands did. Like the Bee Gees had a side project with a duo from Australia called Tintin.
Yeah.
And Pete Townsend had a side project with a group called Thunderclap Newman, and they had that song. I don't know if you remember it, Something in the Air.
Yeah.
Roll out the instigators.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a part in the song where there's clapping, where it goes na 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 na. Well, I'm on that clapping, but further to that song, there's an musical edit in the song where they actually, and I was there when it was done, cut the tape on the beat to edit a piece of the song out and join it.
This is old school.
This is old school. This is like actually.
This
I
is
was
how
there
it
when
was
this
done.
happened.
Now
Yeah.
everything's done with some fancy software, some
Oh, now
fancy
it's all
computer.
done. Yeah.
But I got to say, we had a blast talking to you about all the things music and your career. We got to wrap up the show.
But there's so much more.
There's always more talk. But it's been a pleasure. I'd like to thank Gerry for being on the Rock Talk Show with us. Thank you.
Hey.
Put it there.
My accountant will be in touch.
Maybe we'll get to do this again sometime. But for now, that's our time with Gerry Duffy on the Rock Talk Show. Please check us out on Twitter and Facebook.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The proceeding was an independently produced community access program. The viewpoints expressed are those of the community access producer and do not reflect those of Shaw Cable Systems. The program is presented in response to CRTC policy guidelines regulating community programming.